you actually cannot, right now, today, on TikTok, you cannot use the hashtag White Lives Matter because they say that it inspires hatred.
I'm speechless. I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. All right, y'all. It's rightly so. We the rights, and we about to chime in on this Kanye West and Candace Owens situation.
Yep, Emmanuel Acho, Kanye West, and Candace Owens, see what they got to say. So let's get into it.
The picture circulating of Kanye West, Candace Owens wearing White Lives Matter sweatshirts, incredibly frustrating. An unjust form of justice. Here's the thing, y'all. It is performative at best and incredibly offensive at worst. I have one simple question for Kanye and Candace. What is your intention? That's a question we all must ask ourselves, but particularly when looking at that picture. What's your intention? Is your intention to dehumanize, and is your intention to undermine a legitimate movement based upon the murder of Black and brown people without justice? Keep in mind, we're separating Black Lives Matter, simply stating that Black lives do in fact matter from the group. I'm not talking about the group. I am talking about the movement that was created upon the dehumanization of Black lives, the disenfranchisement of Black lives over the course of history.
All right, so we just watched Emmanuel Acho. Basically what he was questioning, like you guys heard, he was questioning what Kanye West and Candace Owens' intentions were at Paris Fashion Week wearing the White Lives Matter shirt. So, my baby, how you feel about it?
I just want to know the same thing. Like, what were y'all thinking? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Candace has always been in a position where she's kind of been saying things where people don't agree with her all the time. And Kanye West kind of been seeming like he a little bit off his rocker lately, right, especially with going through the public divorce with Kim and the whole Pete Davidson situation. We ain't even gonna get into all of that drama. But I feel like coming from them, coming from anybody, honestly, it just seems, I don't know, just insensitive to the like Ocho. Yeah, like he said, it seems insensitive to what's been going on lately here in the country, just for them to just wear something like that. And to be two big public figures, it's just, I don't know. It's just, what is your intention at this point?
Yeah, and even when watching them, like I've been watching stuff about Candace Owens and Kanye West and keeping up with them, and I like Emmanuel Acho, right? But at the same time, I know where Candace Owens stands, right? So we're going to get into it later in this video, right, of where she stands and what her take is. But I think it's pretty interesting because what she's attacking is a little bit of the movement and is a little bit of the it's more the organization than it is the movement. Of course it's both, but it's more the organization. Again, we're going to get into that a little bit later. And Kanye West,
I feel like that she did explain it, but still to do something like that, it's like, a slap in the face to everything that's been going on. But
and that's the thing, like even in that, like it is a slap in the face, but then it depends on what side of the fence you're on, right? Because again, we'll get into it. I can't wait till we get to that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch it.
So that was Emmanuel Acho talking about that. So let's see what Kanye West has to say.
The only person wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt at the Paris Fashion Week, his friend and our friend Candace Owens was standing right next to him. So we asked West what that whole thing was like, and here's what he told us.
The more and more I lean into God and work for God, the more wins God is going to bestow on our team, on Jesus Gang. And for me to go out and just state an obvious and empathetic statement in the middle of the most liberal central, like to go, that was like Tiananmen Square or something, right? I was like, with Candace Owens, and we both wore the shirt at the same time. You know, we got some Jesus soldiers out here, and people say they're willing to die for it, but we live for it. We're living for the battle. And what's the battle for? Life itself, our children.
All right, so that was Kanye West. And I just want to comment on Kanye West's part real quick. And then, but Kanye West, of course, you know, he's the person who makes headlines, right, with a lot of stuff that he does with some of his crazy ideology. And I don't agree with a lot of things that Kanye West says. And even in this sense, I understand where his standpoint is. Like, hey, it's so obvious. Of course, white lives matter, right? All lives matter. So something that I wore shouldn't make such an uproar in a sense, you know. And I think the thing that kind of had me, I guess, questioning everybody's everybody's reaction to this was like just a couple months ago, Kanye West he was complaining about his kids and how he wanted his kids not to be on social media, and didn't want them to be used for all this stuff. And there was no real uproar for him being a father trying to keep his kids safe. And then when it came to this, it was just like a whole bunch of stuff came out, a whole bunch of like Kanye's the devil and this, that, and the third, right? So that's all I have to say about Kanye West.
I mean, I get the whole thing with him being upset with his kids and stuff like that, and I don't ever want to take away from that. But Kanye West has also been in the light for some of his actions, the way he's been handling and going on social media, trying to out Kim and coming at Pete Davidson and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, not to discredit anything that he says as not important or anything like that, but he was also going through a very nasty divorce on social media and posting stuff and saying stuff, and it's kind of like Kanye West is losing his mind, you know, and that's where everybody's going. So I can see where it can be like nobody was saying anything when he was talking about his kids or anything like that, but it's like, yo, he's saying a lot at once. Like, you know, you're doing a lot at one time. So it's kind of like, yo, you want to back him up, but it's also kind of like Kanye West is like he's just going crazy. That man is going crazy.
No, I'm not backing him up with this. No, not at all.
And so, and then in this video, he's like, he did something. He's doing this for Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And who's to question his relationship with Jesus? Everybody's relationship with Jesus is different. It is. It's different, you know?
Jesus could have told him straight up, hey, go down there and wear the shirt.
Yeah, but he's like empathetic. And it sucks because I'm sure there are like white people out there who really feel like they can't say anything. And it's the movement for Black Lives Matter isn't to try and suppress white people or make them oppress. I don't know. Oppress. Yeah. To make them feel like they don't matter. You know what I'm saying? But this whole movement have been to show that Black people have been treated like dirt.
Yeah.
In America, and it's still ongoing. So it's not like he just feel like he did something to help somebody, and I feel like it's so many other ways he could have went about it than wearing this shirt. Like,
and I think that's the biggest point, is that he feels like, or a lot of people, not just him, right, Black people included, feel like white people and other races are being excluded from something that is meant to bring Black people in. Like, okay, we don't want discrimination, but in the Black Lives Matter movement, we're going to be discriminating because and it's not everybody in the movement, right? I'm not saying that's everybody in the movement, but you have the minority, and a loud minority at that's in the movement that acts like that, you know, that reacts like that. Like, hey, Black Lives Matter is all about Black people. It's just about Black people. Nobody else can be in here.
And that's because it's getting shoved in everybody's face.
Exactly.
All lives matter. All lives, like, I'm saying it like that, but really do. All lives do matter. But at this point in time, we're being shown how poorly Black people are still being treated here in America. Right. And it's like, it's about Black Lives Matter. So of course we agree all lives matter. But right now we're trying to get justice, and we're trying to show everybody how. And it's all over the media. It's all over the news about how these Black people are getting killed and there's no justice for them. The police, like, we've seen a few where there's been some justice, especially the Breonna Taylor. Those people have got sentenced and stuff like that. But it's just like, that was few and far between. You can go back to Trayvon Martin. His killer was about to do a celebrity boxing match. You know, it's just crazy.
Right. And even with all that, like
George Zimmerman, I couldn't think of his name.
Zimmerman. But and even with that, it's the people who they deal with, you got to understand too, like Kanye West and Candace Owens and a bunch of other people deal with a bunch of different races in their circle as is. So, of course, they're seeing the forefront. You have black people who just deal with black people all the time, and white people that deal with white people and all that stuff. But they are, and everybody knows, they are the celebrities that deal with a bunch of other races. So they see this stuff firsthand. And it's like, hey, yeah, Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. At the end of the day, we understand the pushback of Black Lives Matter, but you guys got to understand what's happening to other races. With every action, there's a reaction, right? Just because it's right or you deem it right in your eyes doesn't mean that it's not hurting other people in ways that you didn't expect it to hurt people, right? And perception is everything. If you're saying Black Lives Matter and somebody takes offense to it and feels like they're being discriminated against, as in white people, you can't say that you don't want discrimination and then have a movement that's discriminating everybody. And I know that's not what the movement is, right? Again, you have people who are pushing a false narrative, but you have people who are affected by this false narrative. So it's like Black Lives Matter movement is for everybody. Everybody, they still want people to know that Black Lives Matter or whatever. But then you have people inside the movement that are like, Black Lives Matter is for black people, only black people, all about black people. And it's like, no, that's not. I feel like the what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like the basis of Black Lives Matter is for everybody, inclusion and diversity and all that good stuff. But you have people who are loud and on social media and taking Black Lives Matter movement to be a weapon, in a sense, against other races. And it's like, no, that's not what it is.
That's not the basis of everything that everyone's trying to accomplish by the Black Lives Matter movement. We don't want anybody to feel like they're being mistreated or that we're trying to keep them from speaking up about how they feel, anything like that. But at the end of the day, the goal is to make black people feel like they matter here in America. Right. And they don't. People don't feel like they matter. And that's not to try and make any of the other races feel like they don't matter either. So it's kind of like you said, people who take it to that extreme where it's like only black people, only, you know what I'm saying? It's not supposed to be like that. So I don't know. I am interested to hear what Candace has to say.
Yeah, so let's see what she has to say real quick.
Candace Owens is the host of the podcast Candace, and she joins us tonight. Candace, thanks so much for coming on. So why did you do that? You did it together. And what do you think of the response? Why can't you do that?
Well, I just want to say it was one of the only weeks that I missed doing your show. And the only reason I would miss doing your show, Tucker, is because I knew that there was a cultural moment that would be so significant as this was. You know, I did it because Kanye called me and he said that he needed me to be there at the show and he needed me to be a part of the show. And when he told me what he had in mind and wearing these T-shirts, which, by the way, he told me the day of, I instantly understood what he was trying to do and what the artistic expression was. What it offered was a stunning commentary on the hypocrisy of the society that we live in. For years, we were told that Black Lives Matter was not an exclusionary phrase. We were told that it's just what we're saying. We're not trying to leave white people out, right? We're just saying this because this is a moment that Black Americans need to have in this country. They were totally fine when Asian Lives Matter became a slogan as well. Asians, by the way, are doing better in this.
So you were saying that Asian lives?
Yeah, and I don't think people were okay with that. I was seeing backlash about that too, because I feel like Asian Lives Matter came after the COVID. A lot of people were receiving hate because the COVID started in China and stuff like that, and people were getting death threats and discriminated because of COVID coming out of China and the Asian American people being here, and this worldwide disease took over. So it's kind of like, it was like Asian Lives Matter, and I wish I knew exactly what the law was that came into place from this movement. And it's like, that was another slap in the face to black people. Like, such a law got passed so fast to protect them, and we've been sitting here looking for justice.
But even in that, right, and I understand that, right, and when I heard that at first, and people were like, oh, you know, legislation got passed so fast for Asians. But you got to understand, Asian people stick together. Almost every race sticks together but black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard for us to come together as one. We're always fighting about upper class, lower class, black people, light skin, dark skin. It's always that. And that's the thing, though. If we can't even come together with ourselves, You know what I'm saying? We can't get anything passed. You know, and people were mad about that, but every race sticks together. You don't hear about light white people and dark white people. You don't hear about light Asians and dark Asians or anything like that. At least I haven't. If I'm wrong, then correct me. But they stick together no matter what. And when you stick together, you get more accomplished. We have so many differences in our own race, and we do it so flamboyantly that everybody can see, we tear ourselves down. They don't have to do anything because we tear ourselves down, so we can't get anything passed because we can't agree with anybody.
And that's why this movement is so important. And that's why stuff like this White Lives Matter, is kind of like you erasing everything that we are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, but you feel like, but even in that, but do you feel like it's more of a statement for all races, or do you feel like it's more of a statement for black people to other black people as far as Black Lives Matter? Not the White Lives Matter shirt, but as far as like, hey, Black Lives Matter, because the way I see it is, again, we tear ourselves down so much. Black people need to understand that Black Lives Matter no matter what,
and
no
then,
matter what the situation is.
And yeah, and this is something that is uniting. And I don't know, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because there was a big thing about people rioting in their own neighborhoods and stuff like that. Right. But you also have the anger and the hurt, and not knowing where to channel it, or not really knowing what to do or the correct way to do things. Yeah. But this is what's supposed to be a positive movement for black people, and something that's supposed to bring black people together. Yeah. And I feel like this is something. I feel like it's always an agenda for black people when they're trying to do something positive, or when they're trying to. It's always like in this case, all lives matter. Yeah, we know all lives matter. It's always something when black people are trying to move forward, or even just hearing that statement like, we can't come together, but we trying to come together now. You know what I'm saying?
Like, that kind of proves my point. Like, every time, as you can see, we're listening to Candace Owens right now. This is 3 black people. You get me? 3 black people against each other. I mean, they have different opinions, right? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily against each other, but you're not seeing other races do stuff like this. Like this is it. You know what I'm saying? This kind of proves the point. But let's continue to listen to what Candace Owens says.
We put on a T-shirt to actually do something that was inclusive, to say, actually, white Americans, you are allowed to be a part of this too, because literally all lives matter. And in fact, no lives have been mattering. Black Americans are suffering as a result because of Black Lives Matter. We know that their neighborhoods have been rioted in inner city communities, and the businesses are moving out of there. The result of Black Lives Matter has been white supremacy, assuming that Black Americans were stupid and emotional and would loot and riot their own communities to fulfill a false narrative about policing. And so we got to say all of that by wearing one T-shirt.
It's just so interesting. I mean, if you're triggered, as they say, by a shirt like that, no one who is mad about it ever seemed to ask, like, why? What if it said Malaysian lives matter, or anybody? A normal person would say, well, of course, all lives matter, but like, why does this make them so mad? It's weird and dark.
It makes them so mad because there is actually in this country a hatred toward white people. It is undeniable. The worst thing that you can be in this country, far from what they're telling you, I would say 2 things. First and foremost, a black child in the womb of its mother. That is the most unsafe place for a black child to be. The second thing is a white straight male. Right? Because they perceive that as being too normal, right? It's too normal for you to be a white, straight male. You need to make yourself somehow problematized by saying that you're trans, that you're suffering, that you're gay, that you're Hispanic, that you have a biracial mother, something. People are dying to say that they're anything but being white. And again, that is the commentary that we offered by wearing these shirts. You actually cannot, right now, today, on TikTok, you cannot use the hashtag White Lives Matter because they say that it inspires hatred.
I'm speechless. I'm just like, I don't even know where to start, because you can really honestly tell that her and Kanye West really feel like they did a justice to white people. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't want to. I do want to. I don't agree with it, but they really feel like these people are being oppressed, and it was their job to speak up, to be like, hey, it's not fair how these people feel, and they really feel like they aren't being empathetic towards white people. I don't agree with them, but this is really how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that I don't agree that white people's feelings don't matter. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm just saying that they really feel justified in what they did. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even though we don't agree with it, this is their mindset.
Right.
So
go ahead. Go ahead. You get it off your chest.
You know, because I'm the type of person, I want to see really where somebody's coming from, right? So I can kind of like break it down myself. But this is really how they feel. They really feel like they're doing a justice to white people, right? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't agree. But if they feel like they're doing something right, I'm not going to be like, actually, I am. I can't even continue. Right? I just don't agree with it. Yeah. I don't.
So
go ahead.
Let me just chime in real quick. So I understand where you're coming from, right? Because that's how I was, right? Mm-hmm. You see the stuff, and as a black person, you're like, yo, what? Is this craziness?
It's crazy.
Right? And the thing about it is, with Candace Owens, I feel like with anybody in life, I don't agree with nobody. Just because you like somebody or you don't like somebody doesn't mean they can do no wrong or they're all bad. Candace Owens, I don't agree with a lot of things she says, right? I understand where she's coming from with this, right? I don't agree that they carried it the right way.
Right.
Hear me out.
It's like, no, this don't make any sense.
All right, so Candace Owens has a white husband. So she's front line for whatever discrimination that she thinks that or she feels that white people have, right? And let's be real. There's a bunch of black people that you know that just think white people are the devil, right? They could do.
But that's the thing. I don't.
So I've talked to plenty of people like that, right? Like being in the military and being in where I work now, right? So as far as talking to them, like, black people even have that mindset that like black people can't be racist. Maybe you've never run in those circles or anything like that, but I've heard it plenty of times, right? So I understand where you can come with that. Also, Candace Owens is also coming from a perspective of not attacking. She's attacking both. She's attacking the movement and the organization, but more the organization because the organization made $80 million, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Oh, and wasn't there somebody in the organization who was
buying homes, right?
Yeah.
So with all the money, so George Floyd's family never got any money or anything like that, and they were spending it on homes for their own family, right? And trying to say how I think it was a $6 million home. I'll plan it in here somewhere, the article of how much the home cost, but basically saying that it was a base for Black Lives Matter, but it wasn't. It was in her name and her partner's name and all that good stuff. She was buying homes for her own family. So she has a documentary on the Daily Wire, and this isn't sponsored by them at all. We don't have any sponsors, right? But she goes and she dives into the Black Lives Matter taxes, right? So not only does she feel like the things that's going down with police brutality isn't 100% accurate as far as police are just out shooting and killing black people, because she does a interview saying how more white people are being killed by police officers, but it's not documented as much because of how Black Lives Matter is going. Also to say that they were rioting and looting their own communities. So that's why it was more like Black Lives Matter kind of more or less needs to be more for black people than, and I'm paraphrasing her point, like kind of watering it down because it's more strong than what I'm saying, but more or less like if Black Lives Matter, then black people need to start taking accountability on what they're doing and how they're doing things as far as treating other races, treating themselves and stuff like that. Do I agree? I'm not either. I'm kind of impartial to the whole situation until I have like all my facts and all my stuff 100%, right? But even in the sense, I'm just saying from all three, from Emmanuel Acho to Kanye West to Candace Owens, I understand where they're coming from. I don't say I agree. I don't say I disagree. I just understand where they're coming from. So it's not as much, for me, in my eyes, it's not as much devil horns and pitchforks as it is seeing a different perspective for me.
I don't agree at all, because I feel like there's a different way that they could have gone about it, because they know how black people have been treated here in America. And okay, if she did a documentary or research on white people, more white people are getting killed, but you can also see with social media now and people having phones ready to record and stuff like that, how these black men and these black women are being killed and no justice is coming from it. People are being put on, they're getting suspended, they're losing their pensions, they're, you know what I'm saying? But they're not really facing any jail time. Or that, you know, it's like, I just feel like everybody who just like downplaying the Black Lives Matter movement or just saying that black people they don't look out for each other and stuff like that, or just going in on black people, I honestly just feel like they never lived in the hood. And that might seem crazy, but it's like you can't possibly have lived in the hood and can say all of that out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because you're not, I don't even know how to, I feel deeply about this. You know what I'm saying? You living in the hood and you know, the crime and stuff that happens, how I'm sorry, I'm searching for the word. Basically how the values of the homes in the black hood have the homes in the black neighborhoods have no value, basically. Right? Nobody wants to move to the hood. Everybody wants to move out the hood. And it's like we live in our own, and I say we, when I mean black people, like we live in our own world in the hood. It's like police brutality and stuff like that. It gets shined upon because when it comes to the hood, it's like anything goes. Yeah. Because you're not going to see a drug dealer in the streets in a white neighborhood just selling drugs on the corner, but you'll see that in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say that you can't possibly do something like this to try and make a point when there's so many other things that you could have done in the hood to be like, yo, there's a better way to go about what we're doing. It's so much more. It's so many more. Like, you could have went. I'd rather you go to the police stations in the hood and be like, hey, I'm gonna sit here and talk to y'all, and we're gonna go out and talk in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like anything, you could have recorded yourself doing that, but instead of that, you want to be like, I'm gonna show these people that everything that they saying and everything that they doing is suppressing white people.
Yeah, and to chime in on that, like, I know your background. You know, we have different upbringings, right? Yours was more rough than mine, without getting into any detail on it or anything like that. I think a lot of times it comes down to how people have lived their lives and their perceptions, and then trying to put their experiences on somebody else to have them see where they come from. And I understand that, and I agree with that 100%. You know, what also has to get turned around is, and again, I'm trying to not offend and still say what I want to say. Right. Because you know, I'm not standing up for anybody, but at the same time, it's okay. When is the last time, I'll speak for myself, when is the last time have I searched for any police killing white people or police killing Spanish people or Asian people? Who's to say that those numbers aren't high enough? Because I'm not searching.
Right. And neither am I.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with just what your take saying as far as drugs being done in whatever rich white neighborhoods or whatever like that. Who's to say that the crime isn't bigger? But the thing about it is, now that just like anything that's going on, you know, Black Lives Matter is going on. Of course, the media is there to spin it so they get more views. The media is there to spin it so more things are being seen in their limelight. So it's kind of taking it to where it's like, hey, you guys want, I say you guys, but black people want people to see from their perspective. You guys have to also, and I say you guys, I'm part of it, right? But black people have to also realize that you have to see it from other people's other races' perspective as well. Not saying that it's worse or better or anything else, but just imagine a White Lives Matter movement right now. You get what I'm saying? Granted, regardless whether you agree with it or disagree with it, could you imagine that happening right now? You couldn't, right?
It'll be a civil war.
Right.
Another civil war.
And it's something just as simple as that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or indifferent, but it's just a perspective. That's why I'm just talking from perspective. I love looking at other people's perspective to understand as best I can. That doesn't mean I agree just because I understand.
And that's what they should have done. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like they use their platform in a way to, like she said, like you can tell they're really proud that they got everybody's attention. You know what I'm saying? And that was what their goal was, to bring attention to something that they feel strongly about. Like, y'all are oppressing or making white people feel like they have no say. And she said that a white male has it harder than you. How you feel about that?
What'd she say?
A white male can't just be a white male anymore. He got to have a stigma to him or something like that.
That's the thing. Like, just like I'm not a woman, a single mother. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to be a white male. But we can't sit here and this is where it's like a slippery slope. Because you can't sit here and be like, oh, white men don't have it hard or harder than a black man or anything like that. Granted, everything that's been taught to us, everything that we've seen as black people, as far as how our ancestors came up, how it is for us on a day-to-day, you literally have white people who are scared to be themselves around black people, who are scared to say anything about chicken, who are scared to say anything about watermelon.
And that's the thing.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm walking on eggshells. I have times, and I'm just speaking from personal experience, I have times where I've been around white people, and I've been nervous, like, I don't want them to think I'm going to hurt them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool. I'm one of the cool black people, right? I'm an educated black guy, right? That's how I feel. But you have white people who are around black people like, hey, I don't want them to think I'm racist. I'm not racist. I don't have anything against.
I feel like everybody, I feel like all of this has been so, I don't want to say blown up because I don't want to take away from any feelings or emotions about it, but I feel like this is dividing us more because all of this stuff, anything on social media now, it's like you can't say anything because you're gonna be canceled. Yeah, you're gonna be canceled. Yeah, like you can't say anything nowadays. You know, but again, not to take away, like you said, you don't know how people feel, and it is. I haven't experienced it personally. Every person that I come or meet or come or run into or anything like that, I've never felt. Oh, well, I can't say it. Every year, everybody got their own experiences, but most people, majority of the time, you got them few people that's a little off. You know what I'm saying? But most people I run into, whatever race, I've never really felt like. Every time I'm about to say it, I think of another situation. I guess. Right. People do, walk on eggshells. You know what I'm saying? I guess, yeah, like you say, I have to agree. Because then I always think of one situation where I'm like, dang, that person was. I'm going to just tell the story since we
Since we're here. Just go ahead and tell it. Go ahead.
I took my daughter to, my son to speech therapy. And remember I told you, it was right after Juneteenth. It was right after Juneteenth. And you could tell it was a young white lady. And she was just really just trying to be. And I didn't feel any kind of way or offended or anything like that. But she asked me, how did I spend Juneteenth? Because obviously I'm a black woman, and she's a white woman. And she was just trying to be polite to recognize the holiday, because this is like one of the first few times that this holiday has really been recognized just recently. So, well, at least in other states, I think where Mississippi is where it starts. Mississippi. We'll look it up. But Mississippi's wrong. Anyway, she asked me how Juneteenth was, and I was like, it was good. I didn't do much. We just hung around the house, and then I asked her. How was that? Because, even though she's white, it's still a holiday. You still can celebrate it,
Yeah, how was your Juneteenth?
And you could tell she was so thrown off that I asked her, how does she enjoy Juneteenth? Because as a white person, how do you respond? Do I get to celebrate? That was kind of her, like, I
don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, could you imagine, like, for her, there is no right answer in the situation because she doesn't know who you are. Like, for you, if she made a joke because of your personality, you probably would have laughed about it, right?
Yeah.
But there's people who don't. There's black people who don't play like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, she could have asked, a black person would have been like, oh, how was your Juneteenth, as a setup for a trap? And they have to walk on eggshells. So that's why it's just like, yeah, the White Lives Matter shirts maybe not the best thing to do. Yes, they could have. I mean, they could have done so many other different things, but at the end of the day, they made a decision. They do stuff all the time. Kanye West and Candace Owens, they do stuff as far as like talks and stuff like that. So this was one of those things that was a little out there for them. Of course, they could have handled it differently.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like just sit back and actually think about it. Like, yo, do white people? Because when's the last time have I ever researched anything that had nothing to do with my race? When's the last time I ever researched just stuff about white people, or just stuff about Asians, or just stuff about Spanish people? You know. And, you know, you sit back and you're like, yo, I know Black Lives Matter. I know Trayvon Martin. I know George Floyd. I know this, that, all these names. But I don't know Jason whoever that just got shot. I don't know about whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that's just like, okay, are we stepping out of our bubble in this Black Lives Matter to really include everybody? Or are we just saying we include everybody and we're still tunnel vision on the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's be inclusive and diverse and include people, you know, and not be discriminatory, because that's not what you want. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, are we walking that line? Are we actually, as a group, as black people, are we all on the same page? You know, and clearly we're not. You know what I'm saying? Clearly we're not, and clearly it's affecting other races, right? So, not that it's wrong, not that you're going to please everybody all the time or anything like that, but this is somebody speaking out about it.
I just don't agree.
Yeah,
I just don't agree. And it's not just like, oh, woe is black people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, these people ain't never lived in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell the people that really care about black people.
But
I should be.
Can't say it because I don't know Candace Owens' background. I don't know Kanye West's background.
No, because Kanye West, he has a school, and he, you know what I'm saying, like.
But where he started, you know what I'm saying, like all that stuff. Like, they don't live in the hood now, but that doesn't mean that they can't empathize with people who are in the hood, and that doesn't mean that they don't see, again, both sides of the story or both sides of the fence. You know, and I don't. My biggest thing. Here's my biggest thing. My biggest thing is I don't think people should be so upset because of how they came and they delivered their message. Just like Emmanuel Archer was saying in the beginning, what is your intention, right? What was your intention for this whole thing? With Candace Owens and Kanye West explaining their intentions and stuff like that, it's like, I don't even think it's more of a do you agree or do you disagree. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's, for this video, for us in our conversation, I think it's just more, do you understand where they're coming from? You know what I'm saying? Like, did it shine a light? Did it make you want to do any type of other research, or does it make you, quote unquote, question things? Because just because it's Black Lives Matter and you're black, I'm black, and other black people know about the movement, doesn't mean that you support the movement or the organization in anything that it does. And I think that's the biggest thing. You shouldn't support something just because of the color of your skin. And I'm not saying that you do. I'm not saying that I do or anything like that. I'm just saying it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm coming from this. Does it make you be like, I didn't really think about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I can get that. I can get that, like, giving someone a chance to explain themselves, even though I don't agree. I just
understand it. Yeah, I get you. Cause
I mean, I'm still baffled. I am. I'm just saying, like, I just feel like, you know, everybody's gonna do, you know, like Kanye West say, he feel like what he's doing is Jesus gang. You know what I'm saying? Gang. Who am I to kind of be like, you know, this is the way, you know, Jesus would want you to handle this, you know. But Kanye West has been saying some wild stuff. Yeah, this man, let me quote him. Let me quote him. He said, he now knows what it feels like to have someone stepping on his neck.
Right.
Because he lost his billionaire status.
Yeah, that was a horrible.
I mean, he's crazy. Nah, I'm not gonna say he's crazy. You know, he's just misunderstood. You can tell he's been having mental health issues and stuff like that. He's going through this divorce with Kim. You know, I haven't seen a lot of Candace Owens videos and stuff like that. I only know the bad rep she has when it comes to black people and the way black people perceive her. I haven't looked into her myself. You know what I'm saying? I just know she has a bad rep with her name. Yeah. You know,
and that's what always comes back, like. You know, I just keep coming back to the same thing. You know, even with Kanye West. Kanye West, quote unquote, crazy. Again, he's far left with a lot of things he says, right? And that's also one of those things where it's like, okay, but that doesn't mean that everything that he does is wrong. And I'm not saying that in this situation it was right at all, right? Same thing with Candace Owens, same thing with Manny Macho, same thing with your mom and dad. You know what I'm saying? People that you like. Like everything that somebody says because you love them or hate them isn't always gold or always the devil talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more like, okay, understand, try to understand, try to see it from their perspective. That doesn't mean you agree at it. Like,
no, I'm starting to think you agree.
I'm out of it. Nah, I don't. Hey, again, I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree because I haven't done the research. And I love topics like this because it opens your eyes to, hey, have you done the research on your own race, on other races? Are we really marginalized, or are we really just screaming or crying wolf and stuff like that? And it just makes you like, am I supporting what I support? Just like politics. Because you're black doesn't mean you need to be voting Democrat. Because you're white doesn't mean you're supposed to be voting Republican. You need to vote with whatever lines up with what your ideas are. And you'll be surprised, you might fall into the category of Republican. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. Don't just vote because of the color of your skin. Don't just like stuff because of the color of your skin. That's the biggest thing. And don't just agree with somebody because of the color of their skin. And we got 3 people right here that are all black. So it's like, what side, not that you have to pick sides, but what are you going to take from it all? You get me? So I'm good.
You good? I'm good. I mean, I just feel like I just want to end to that. We're trying to be better. You know what I'm saying? As a whole, as a black race, as Americans, we're trying to get to a better place. And I feel like stuff like this just separates us more. Not the Black Lives Matter movement, because the Black Lives Matter movement came from, you know, a hurt place. You know what I'm saying? It rooted from the fact that we feel like black people have been treated unfairly here in America, you know, and it's just trying to bring attention to that. But the end goal is to get everybody on the same page that we're trying to be better, you know, and trying to feel like we're not alone. Nobody wants to feel alone. And I feel like this is what Candace and Kanye West, even though I don't agree with the way they did it, they're saying in White Lives Matter is just saying, hey, these people feel like they don't have a voice, and these people feel like it's just, like I said, it's the Black Lives Matter movement started from a hurt place, and this White Lives Matter is just like I feel like it's a slap in the face to black people. You know what I'm saying? Even though they just trying to say that white people feel oppressed, I just feel like their platform and the way they did it and the way, you know, the tension has been kind of high with race issues here in America, that this wasn't the way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could have done talk shows. They could have done sit downs. They could have done anything else than to do something like this, where it's kind of where tensions are already high and feelings are already hurt. And with them, like I said, with their platform and their reach and their status, I feel like it just could have been delivered a different way. This was just like you know, it just seen as another thing that Kanye West is just doing that's crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like his message was lost with black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody at this point want to hear what you got to say.
And I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you fine.
For me and my closing, I just feel like, and I understand that Kanye West has been doing some crazy stuff. Candace Owens doesn't have a good rep, or so I've been hearing, that she doesn't have a good rep with black people, right? You know, within her own race. And it's kind of like the combination of the two in black people's eyes, maybe looks like, oh, they're crazy, right? But in other races' eyes, as white people, they're giving them a voice, right? So you got to look at, again, the good and the bad. And like I said, it's just the same thing I just said. You got to make sure that you take a look at the other side of the fence before you make your decision, and trying to figure out, yeah, they could have gone about it a whole different route. They probably should have gone about it a whole different route. But 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and this is how they chose to do it. So
I feel like, you could just did a lot. You could do a lot more behind the scene than to do something so loudly like this.
Yeah. Well, that is our episode, y'all. We are Rightly So Podcast. We're going to be coming to you guys with more videos in the future. You guys go ahead and like and subscribe if you guys enjoy this content. Sorry we're so long-winded. This is a really good topic.
I'm about to say, and if you feel like it's something that we should know, or if you want to fact check us, just leave a comment, and we'll definitely check it out.
We'll definitely read it and reply back. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back with you guys on the next one. We out.